Hello everyone, welcome back to Nelson Network channel. Today we are going to add a router to our previous network topology, which was two switches and two PCs. So in order to do that, we come here to routers. What type of router are we adding? 4331. 4331. So this is it. We added a router. Next, we need a copper straight through cable connection. Copper straight through cable. Connect the switch gigabit interface 1 to this. In order to see the interface, you can go here to preference. Show this. So you're gonna do it manually. And, come back and disable it. Now we can move it as we want. So now you can just change this name here to our one. Let's go into this router, go to the CLI, bypass this initial configuration by saying no, press enter again. You can go to privilege executive mode by writing enable or en. Now let's change the host name of our router. You can just say host R1. No, we need, first of all, we need to go to global configuration mode, so conf t. Now let's change our host name to R1. Now it works. So now that we have our host name configured, we can write n, go back. Now you can see, in order to see the so now we've renamed this router to be called R1, so we can now go and see which interfaces we have here by using show IP interface brief. This command shows us the various interfaces of our router. So you have gigabit Ethernet 000, which is this one. So our router is connecting to the switch through this interface, which is this. And as we can see, it's unassigned. It doesn't have any IP assigned to it, and it's administratively down. This is by default. All interfaces of every router is by default down, which is not the case for switches. By default, all interfaces of switches are up. So in order to bring this interface up, in order to make it green, what we do is we need to go to configuration mode, conf t. We go into that interface gigabit 0, 0, 0. So now we are in there. We can type in no shut, short form of no shutdown. So you see, immediately it has turned green, and this is going to turn green very soon after the configuration has taken place. So yeah, now you see that it has turned green after the loopback has taken place. Spanning tree protocol actually. So what we do here now, we need to assign an IP address to that. So the IP address we're going to assign to that interface is 192.168.1.254. Subnet mask of 255.0. So that's going to be the IP address of that router and that interface. So let's try to ping our switch 168.1.2. So I ping the wrong switch. So it's this. So yeah, it's working. So as of now, we have a complete network topology. So the function of a router is to connect this network to a different entire network. So the switch can connect, normally we have thousands of PCs here, thousands of end devices, which are connected through a switch, and they help communication within that network. But when it comes to a router connects this network to a different entire network. So that's the role of a router, or the internet. So because the internet is a combination of thousands of other networks. So now what we're going to do is configure a default gateway. So we need to configure a default gateway for the router, for the PCs, because if the PC doesn't know which route to take in order to get out of the network, it's by default it will go to this router. So that's why we need to put the IP address that we have on this interface as our default gateway. Normally it is done by DHCP, but we can do that manually. So in order to do that, we put the IP address of that interface of this router, which is this. So now that we've done that, we can come to CLI. No. See, it's showing default gateway as that. So this is the command if you want to have all the configuration, all the IP configuration of your PC. So you see, this is the IP of the PC. This is the default gateway that we just set. So by default, if this PC is trying to communicate to send packets anywhere and it doesn't have a destination IP, it sends it by default to this destination, to this default gateway, which is our router. So that's the default gateway. Now we can check to see if we can ping that default gateway from this PC1. Yes, it's successful. So this is it for this video. What we're going to do on the next video, we're going to see how to create a loopback network on a router, so that we can test and understand the need for default gateway, because we're going to see that PC2, which currently doesn't have any default gateway, doesn't have any default gateway, it cannot ping the router. Let's see. So it can ping the router, but it cannot ping it cannot ping a different network, which will be the loopback network that we're going to create on this. We're going to create a virtual network on this router, and that virtual network will not be able. Now we can ping this router because it's connected through the switch, but the virtual network won't be able to connect to PC2, sorry, because PC2 doesn't have any default gateway. So we're going to see that in our next video. Stay tuned.